hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on the SportsGrid TV on X. I hope everyone's day is starting off fantastically. We have a lot of games actually out there on the ice, but we're going to be pretty cautious with today. We saw a ton of overs in yesterday's action, except for a game that I really did think would be that higher scoring one, with the Toronto Maple Leafs getting an overtime winner versus Montreal. We got the overtime bet at plus 370, but that game finished 1-0 in OT with the Leafs getting the win. So at the end of the day, that one we kind of broke even with because it's riding with Montreal, riding with some player props, and just weren't able to get there. But yeah, lots of things to talk about today. That wild card race is still alive in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. So we're going to have a look at that. But let's make some freaking money. So good to see you guys here today. We're going to go over each of these games. We'll do the recap at the end. So thank you for everyone for joining. And 3 to 7. Yeah, 3 to 7 today, Eastern. I am live on the grid. So make sure you come over and join myself and Scott Wetzel. We made some freaking money out there yesterday, last day of the NBA as well. And stay tuned for my cup of Joe. I promise I'll get it out. I'll also be guesting with the guys at 2:15 Eastern as well. So make sure you come over to in-game live all day today. You did well yesterday. I am glad to hear you did well yesterday. There was definitely some winners. There was some losers yesterday. The end of the day, I think we did a pretty solid one out there. So let me know how you're feeling going into today's games out there. Now, we got to be cautious with some of these teams that are eliminated, looking to play the upset role. Some of these teams that do have something still to play for and what we're going to see out of them. So, and then other teams like Colorado, everyone is resting. Who's going to step up for Colorado? We do have some home dogs that may be barking in these matchups. So let's look at the wild card standing and let's look what teams are playing for. Toronto still not completely locked in that first spot in the Atlantic Division with a win today over the Carolina Hurricanes. They will lock into that first spot, 102 points in 79 games. Tampa is 4 points behind. Florida, 4 points behind as well. Tampa has a game in hand over the Florida Panthers, so they're going to be looking to come out nice and strong, get a nice win versus the Sabres today to lock themselves in that second spot as well. The Metro, the Washington Capitals have taken the Metro division with 109 points in 79 games. They'll face the Columbus Blue Jackets today, whose hopes for the playoffs are still not dead. With Montreal only picking up the 1 point last night, the Columbus Blue Jackets sitting there with 83 points in 79 games, 88 points for Montreal. So Columbus needs to win that game today. The Ottawa Senators looking to clinch that wild card spot there today, taking the first seed. They've got 92 points. They will be able to do that with the win today. Now, when we look down at the Calgary Flames, still battling it out. Every other team has been eliminated, just like in the Eastern Conference. It's only Columbus left fighting. So yesterday saw the New York Rangers, the Islanders, the Red Wings all get eliminated from playoff contention. And then we have seen Vancouver, Utah, Anaheim, Seattle, Nashville, Chicago, and the Sharks eliminating the Western Conference. We knew the majority of those were eliminated. Calgary now has 90 points in 79 games. They have 2 points in hand over the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild. The Wild right now with the first wild card spot with 95 points in 81 games, 94 here for the St. Louis Blues, with them losing in OT last night to the Seattle Kraken. So that is where we're sitting. You know, the Pacific still not completely tied up there by the Vegas Golden Knights. They have 107 points in 80 games. We have the LA Kings sitting behind them with 101 and 97 there for the Edmonton Oilers. We do see the Devils locked in their place, the Carolina Hurricanes locked in their place. So you're looking at the Metro with those teams not playing for very much. You're looking at Colorado and Dallas. They will match up in the first round. So they are sitting stagnant in their places with the Winnipeg Jets taking the Central. The Winnipeg Jets, if they get a win today, picking up a point, if they get a win today, they will clinch the President's Trophy. So we're going to see a lot out of a lot of these teams. Might see less out of some, but let's get into these games and break it down where we can make some money. The Sharks +2 versus your Calgary Flames. Today, I can't say shames. Come on. Some of my friends even calling them the shames right now, but we'll see. Calgary wasn't even expected to be here. You know, Tyler Toffoli is going to be stepping up big time versus his former team, and we'll see what Calgary is able to do. It's not going to be an easy win here for Calgary versus the Sharks. Okay, we're going to jump into the games now. I needed a sip of coffee. It is Sunday morning, guys. 10 p.m. my time. I know it's noon Eastern, but it feels early to me. We're going to take on the Flyers and the Senators first. Now, the Flyers rolling in as the dog, +188, -230 here for the Ottawa Senators, total of 5.5. The 5.5 is juiced to that over at -120. Now, 1 point away from that top wildcard spot being clinched for the Ottawa Senators. So they do want to get the win. If this goes to overtime and they lose in overtime to the Flyers, they still pick up that point and they clinch that top wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. So that is all that they are playing for in this one, but I expect them to come out hard and fast. Both of these teams on the second night of a back-to-back. We saw the Flyers last night get the shootout win versus the New York Islanders. Now, that game yesterday was an interesting one. The Flyers went down to start, giving me panic because you guys know we had the Flyers at -110. Talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, too, by the way. We went over that total of 3.5 before we even basically done this show yesterday. So the Flyers paid, the Columbus Blue Jackets played in that early action. And now we're looking at a Senators team. They are off a win versus Montreal on Friday, 5-2. They were able to rack up those goals, giving Montreal that loss. They have the Canes on Tuesday the Blackhawks on Tuesday and the Canes on Thursday to finish the season. All they need is 1 point over the next couple of games. I do think they get there. We're facing an eliminated team in the Flyers, who on the second night of a back-to-back have had their struggles. They've lost their last 8 on the second night of a back-to-back. And if this was a situation where we saw the Flyers play on Friday, I think I could make a play on them. But with the Flyers playing last night, with them giving it their all, going all the way to a shootout, I know they're an eliminated team looking to make some waves as they end the season, but I just don't see it happening tonight. I do think they'll give the Columbus Blue Jackets a hard time on Tuesday in that matchup at home. And then at the Sabres on Thursday, we could see some more goals as players looking to pad their stats. Looking at this one, I do expect the Ottawa Senators in the first period to come out nice and strong. I'll lay the half a goal with the Ottawa Senators in the first period at +124. And the puck line for the full game, laying 1.5 goals at +108. It's not as much value as I would like, but I do think this is a strong place for the Senators to get that win and then look for their next 2 games versus the Blackhawks and the Carolina Hurricanes for them to be able to sit some of their top players. Now, we know Brady Tkachuk's still out of this lineup. Not sure when he's going to be back in. Nick Cousins on the IR with his knee. Look for other playmakers to step up, but I do think this game, they get in, they get the win, and then we start to see the rest. Tim Struzal, Drake Batherson, and Jake Sanderson is where I'd look for my players tonight. Tim Struzal rolling in with 72 points, 21 goals, 51 assists. Batherson coming in here with 63. I can see Batherson getting 2 points tonight. I like him for 2+ points, putting him at 65 points, 23 goals and 40 assists on the season. And Jake Sanderson has 55 points, 11 goals and 44 assists. So look at Sanderson to come out strong. When we look at the Flyers, I do think their goals will be limited today, but I'm going to keep riding Travis Konecny for goal number 25. We know it didn't cash, even though the Flyers were able to put up a ton of goals yesterday. He's got 75 points, 24 goals, and 51 assists. And then Michkov there. If you're looking for points, I would look at Travis Konecny and Michkov for a point each. That will put Michkov at 61, Travis Konecny at 60 or 76. So I would look at the point each parlayed together. I do think this is a kind of game where the Senators either win this 5-2 or 5-3. So I'm looking for a strong performance out of the Ottawa Senators. Either way, covering that puck line. Kadri and Huberdeau love playing against The San Jose Sharks. Yeah, Kadri has been so strong versus the San Jose Sharks. You're going to have to look for both of those players for Calgary to step up big in this one. Shabbat and Sanderson doing very well in the blue line, both getting 20 plus minutes. Yeah, and you're going to see that again today. I do think both of these players will be rested after today, but look for them to really step up. Paul, you can look at Shabbat and Sanderson for their points tonight as well, parlayed together. Let's move on to the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders taking on the New Jersey Devils. Now, the New Jersey Devils locked in that third spot in the Metro. They are coming in 89 points in 79 games. The last two games versus the Islanders have gone to overtime, and they've been 4-3 games, with the Devils getting the win in the last one. Now, the Devils' power play is being converting at such a nice high rate, and they want to continue this into the postseason. So we will look at some power play props. Their power play converting at 27.5%. We know the kill here. The Achilles heel of the Islanders has been their special teams this season. This team has only been able to convert 12.8% on the power play, 71.9% PK. So they haven't been strong on the kill. They haven't been strong on the power play. Their offense has been really anemic, only averaging 2.77 goals per game. And they don't have the defense to lock down and be able to support that. Now, Hoberg is expected again. We talked about him. Big goaltender, but not a goaltender that really fills that net, even though he's 6'5". He plays low to the ground. So players shooting top corners are hitting him, and they're hitting him nice and hard. And I do think the Devils have the playmakers here to be able to hit Hoberg hard in this one. I think the Islanders are going to struggle on Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom versus the New York Islanders has a 2.53 goals against average and an .899 save percentage. So I would like to see that higher. Over the last couple of games, the Devils have been allowing these goals to come in. They need to clean up defensively going into the postseason, and I do think we get a defensive effort out of them today. But I think their offense, also with Hoberg and the defense of the Islanders, has to be able to score as well. Now, the Islanders have lost their last three. Like I said, they got that shootout loss last night to the Flyers, 4-3. Second night of a back-to-back. They are versus the Capitals on Thursday and at the Columbus Blue Jackets they're versus the Capitals Tuesday at the Columbus Blue Jackets on Thursday. And when we look at the Devils, where they're sitting right now, they're at the Bruins on Tuesday versus the Red Wings on Wednesday. So another home game here for them. I expect rested players in the next couple of games. I would look at some power play points for the Devils tonight. I do think the Devils will score. So there's a couple ways you can play this. If you think the Islanders are going to struggle to score, which I do, the Islanders team total under 2.5 goals is -122. If you believe in the Devils to put up 4 goals, which I do as well, the over 3.5 goals for the New Jersey Devils is coming in at +104. Which way would I rather go? Probably the Devils over 3.5 goals at +104, just because we have seen those hiccups out of the defense of the Devils, but I do think it needs to be cleaned up. We know Dougie Hamilton's still out of this lineup, which is a huge hole in their blue line. So I would expect the Devils either way, win or lose, to get 4 goals. Now, I do think they get the win in this one today, but I can't bet it at the price that we're having to lay. Looking at the Devils, they're a $2 favorite, -1.5 on that puck line. I expect that to cash. I think this is a 4-2 win for the New Jersey Devils, but that puck line not giving me enough value, laying 1.5 at +128. And I know you're still getting plus money, but I would rather count on the Devils to win this 4-2. Go over the 3.5 goals at +104, just in case something happens where we see the Islanders get a meaningless goal at the very end of this game. We do have players looking to pad their stats out there for the Islanders and finish the season strong. And we've also seen the Islanders cover that puck line in their last 10 versus the Devils as an underdog. So they've gone 10-0 on that puck line as an underdog against the Devils. So I'm not willing to lay the puck line here with the New Jersey Devils. When we look at those players, when we look at those props, I do think a sneaky one here is Noah Dobson of the New York Islanders for his point tonight. It will be point number 40, and we're getting that at +126. He's got 10 goals, 29 assists for 39 total points. He's on the third defensive line for the Islanders, but he's also on that top power play. I know that top power play hasn't been converting, but if it is going to convert, Noah Dobson, I do think will be part of it. And I do think part of that third line there, we can see some action out of him today in this game. So I would look at Noah Dobson. You could look at Anders Lee. He's still searching for goal number 30. You guys know once I start betting these players to hit those milestones, I got to go back to it. So looking at Anders Lee for goal number 30, he's got 29 goals, 25 assists for 54 points. So if you just want to look at the 55 points kind of market, you could look at him for a point with Bo Horvat for the point, or Kyle Palmieri is also loading still for goal number 25. So looking at Anders Lee and Palmieri, if you want to look at both of them for a point instead of looking at them both for a goal tonight, parlaying their points together will get you plus money. So I do like that for the Islanders, even though I still think this is a lower scoring game. I would play with those points because I do think the Isles stay under that 2.5. But like I said, I prefer the Devils team total over that 3.5. And then I'll look at the power play points here for the New Jersey Devils, because that power play has been converting at such a high rate. They want to continue with that momentum going into the playoffs, being able to score on the power play. And what better team to really work on that power play today, get some great plays out there against a team that's so weak on that PK of the Isles. So look at Jasper Bratt for the power play point, Nico Hischier for the power play point, Timo Meier for the power play point, and Luke Hughes for the power play point. I do think out of the four of them, we're going to see 3 of those guys cash on the power play. If not just 2, we're still getting, plus 200 for each of those guys to convert on the power play. So if we hit 2 of the 4, we are absolutely laughing. If we hit all 4 of those guys on the power play, it's a really good Sunday out there. So okay, we're going to move on to the next one. No points by Clayton Keller. I know, I'm shocked Clayton Keller came out the way he did in the Blues, not able to get that done, losing that game in OT. Oh, they ruined your 7-gamer last night. That's absolutely brutal. Kev, good morning. Happy Sunday to you as well. I expect Frank the Tank to make a video. I don't know who Frank the Tank is. The brutal Devils D. Yeah, the Devils defense have been struggling. So Anders Lee and Kyle Palmieri could get those goals today, and we could see it go over. That's why I probably like the Devils team total over more so. And that's the one I have the bet in on. But if you just want to fade the Islanders with their struggles too, you can. Let's move on to the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, this one has a total of 5.5, minus 134 to the over. The Bruins rolling in as the dog at plus 134. The Pittsburgh Penguins coming in at a plus 162 at home. Now, this is the first season. I don't know if you guys realize this. The first year in NHL history that all 3 of these teams haven't made the postseason, being the Bruins, the Rangers, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. First time in NHL history, we'll see all 3 of them missing that postseason, which is crazy to believe. Looking at the Boston Bruins, they sold off. We know that. The Pittsburgh Penguins didn't, and Sidney Crosby, I wish he would have sold off, and I wish we would be seeing him in the postseason with another team, but you've got to really admire his love for Pittsburgh and his love for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I do think Sidney Crosby finishes this season nice and strong. So we're going to look at his props. First, let's talk a side in this one. It's hard to get behind a side because you're looking at 2 eliminated teams, 8th in the Atlantic here for the Boston Bruins, 7th in the Metro for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, Swayman versus Ajari. We've got the Boston Bruins coming in off a loss to the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. The Pittsburgh Penguins have won their last 2. Friday's win over the New Jersey Devils was a 4-2 win for them. They have the Capitals to finish the season on Thursday. So then we will see that matchup with Sid versus Ovi. If Ovi hits the ice, still question marks on if even Ovi will hit the ice today. Pretty doubtful. Sid will hit the ice no matter what and look to put up points to finish the season strong. And then Boston here, we have them versus the Devils at home on Tuesday. So both of these teams have 1 game left after today's action. We did see Boston win the last one back in March, 3-2. Now, I do think the Penguins at home have every ability to get the win. But one thing to note, the Boston Bruins have won the last 4 games in Pittsburgh. So it's been road ice advantage between these 2 teams, especially for Boston rolling into Pittsburgh. I think we see that fast start in this one. I don't really trust Boston on the road, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. 12-25-3 on the season on the road. This team, I just don't think we get the best foot forward. when we look at those stats with them winning the last 4, that was before they sold off pieces as well. When we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, their strength, we know this season has been at home, 20-14-5 at home this season. I think we start this game off with a bang. Pasta versus Sid. Pasternak, 102 points on the season. He's looking to come out strong in this game. Sidney Crosby looking to come out strong in this game. Give me first period. Both teams to score. It's coming in at plus 150. You can't take the over 1.5. It's way too highly juiced. It's like minus 160 for both teams to score, or for the over 1.5, but both teams to score at plus 150. I do think is the way to go. I think this is a fun, pretty loose, high-scoring game out there on the ice. I'll take the over 5.5 as well. It is juicy, though, at minus 134, but I do think it is the right way to go. When I look at where I'm going to go for these player props, you guys, we've got some young players here for Boston looking to make an impact before they go into the break, as they want to make the rosters next season and make it, on top line. So we're going to look at those players, but first we got to talk about Sid. Sidney Crosby for 2+ points tonight. It's not as much plus money as I would like, but it's plus 158. It's still plus money. His anytime goal at plus 140. He has 89 points on the season. Can Sid get to 92? I absolutely think he can. We could get 2 points tonight, a point in the next game, maybe even 2 points, 93 points on the season. I do think Sid finishes this one out strong. So I'll take him for 2 points tonight, plus 158. I will look at the goal as well at plus 140. He's got 32 points and 57 assists in 78 games. So 32 goals, and 57 assists. He's scored a goal in the last 2 games. 3 of the last 4 and 5 of the last 7. So Sid has been on fire. When we look at Pasternak, I would look at Pasta for the 2+ points. I think they answer each other back. Sid 2+ points, Pasta 2+ points. Don't forget Morgan Geekie. So if you want to just the books are still giving us plus money. Pasta and Morgan Geekie parlayed together for those points. Now, one thing to note, the Boston Bruins have won their last 4 first periods. So if at that point, then we're getting, if the Bruins go up right away in that first, before the Pittsburgh Penguins answer back, because you guys know that I have the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Bruins both to score in the first period, I would then hit on the Pittsburgh Penguins for the game on that money line. Right now, I can't hit on it. It's way too juicy. So look for that. Hope for the Boston Bruins to go up first in the first period, and then the Penguins to answer back in that first period. We'll have limited time to get our bet in on the Penguins on that money line. But looking at the young players that I'm looking to step up for the Boston Bruins, and I do think the player props are the best way to go in this game. So Pasta and Geekie, and then Sidney Crosby. You got Raquel and Rust. You've got tons of playmakers looking to just put their numbers up for the Penguins, but it is Sid that I would rather focus on. When we look at the young players here, Fabian Lysell is still yet to get a goal. This young prospect bought up by the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's plus 480 to get a goal. He's going to be hungry to net one before the end of the season to really affect where he's going to be next year. So I do think a plus 480 for Fabian Lysell to come out and get us a goal. It's worth a shot. We know the issues with the Pittsburgh Penguins defense all year and goaltending. And I do think you look at his speed and how he's been playing out there. I really like what we've seen out of him. So I'll take a chance on him. You look at Fraser Minton as well. He was able to get a goal in that last game out versus the Devils on Tuesday. Look for him to be impactful. He came over from the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I do think you've got those playmakers that are looking to be impactful before this season ends. Only 2 games left. I will take Fabian Lysell for both games for that anytime goal, hoping it hits tonight. If it hits tonight, I won't take it the next game. But if it doesn't hit tonight, I will take it in that next game for sure. So should be a good one here between these 2 teams, you guys. Devils and the Ottawa Senators. Moneyline parlay. Rob, I like the way you're thinking. Plus 104. The Ottawa Senators really would love to clinch up that first wild card spot, and the Devils should be able to get the win. So I love where you're going in this one. Good to see. It is really good to see the Ottawa Senators making the playoffs. That is for sure. Okay. Let's move on to the next game here, you guys. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Carolina Hurricanes. This one is a gut wrencher, right? Like, Carolina's so strong at home. Carolina, Taylor Hall already listed as out. He's out with rest. How many other players are we going to see between now and 5:10 Eastern being rested for the Carolina Hurricanes? The line is going. The money is coming in on Carolina earlier in the morning. I was able to get Toronto at plus 162. They're now a plus 180 underdog here on the road. I do think Toronto's playing for more, and I think Toronto can come out and get the win. I know Carolina at home, but you also look at Toronto and they're playing for something. So Carolina minus 220 on the money line, total of 5.5, minus 128 to the over. Joseph Woll versus Frederik Andersen. Now, Frederik Andersen plays like the last time he faced the Leafs. The Leafs, if they win this, it's got to be 2-1. But if Frederik Andersen allows those goals, like the couple games before, and he hasn't seen them for a while, hasn't seen them since 2024, last season, this March of last season, he allowed 1 goal and 33 shots on net. So in that last game, he was stellar versus Toronto last season. But in those prior ones, we've seen him like with that lower save percentage, higher goals against average, and he's, allowed 3 goals in a couple of those. So I'm looking at a couple of things. I do think Frederik Andersen will play strong. I do think Carolina wants to make a strong performance, but we saw with the Colorado Avalanche with rested players yesterday, they did make a big push and then didn't get it done at the end of the day. But Carolina here, I can't lay this price on them. I do think it's worth a look here at Toronto at plus 1.5, but it's minus 144. So for me, it's Toronto money line or nothing in this game. I already went in on Toronto at plus 162, at plus 180. You guys, I feel like it's a gift here. I think if the Leafs win this, they win this 2-1. If the Canes win this, it's a 3-2 game. So that being said, I did find a Carolina Hurricanes team total. Under 3.5 for the team total for the Carolina Hurricanes is minus 128. Now, I know you got to lay the juice there, but I do think with players resting, we can see Carolina more in that lockdown defensive style game, especially with Frederik Andersen in goal, if he stands tall like he did the last time. And then we could have the Leafs win 2-1. And that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a Leafs win 2-1. I'm shocked that the money line has been moving the way it has been. I'm not sure if we've seen confirmation of anyone else out for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because that's the only thing I could see moving that line so much, unless there's just so much money coming in. So I'm just going to look at confirmation of anyone else out here. And I'm not seeing any, Ekholm Larson is out undisclosed. McCabe out undisclosed. So the rest were out before. I'm looking at Toronto to get it done. They're trying to wrap up the Atlantic Division, and a win today will clinch them the Atlantic Division. They want that first spot in the Atlantic. So look for Toronto. The Canes, I think they're locked into that spot in the Metro, right? So what do they have to play for? Taylor Hall already getting rested. They've won their last 3 games versus the Leafs on home ice. I know that they should be looking to build momentum, but they're locked in and Toronto can close things out. It is the second night of a back-to-back for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they're at the Sabres on Tuesday and home versus the Red Wings on Thursday. But we saw what they're able to do in that win last night, overtime win 1-0 versus Montreal. I think this game plays out very, very similar in this one. So give me the Canes team total under 3.5 goals at minus 128. And give me the Toronto Maple Leafs at plus 180 on the money line. You guys know I'm very limited to betting Toronto. And when I do, we normally cash, you guys. So keep your fingers crossed. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning is the next game on deck. We know Buffalo is eliminated. We've got the Tampa Bay Lightning sitting second in that Atlantic, so they would like to see the win. These games are an hour apart, so we're not going to have the first game done before the second game plays. So if you're seeing Toronto just steamrolling over Carolina, and we've got like a 5-1 style game in that third period, we should be in the third period by the time the puck drops in this one, maybe late second, then just take the Buffalo Sabres to win it, because Tampa at that point will know that they can't take the first spot, but they are really tight with the Florida Panthers. So that is something to note with these teams sitting there with the same amount of points, so they don't want to lose that spot either. It is plus 220 here for the Sabres, minus 175 for the Tampa Bay Lightning, minus 120 to the over 6.5. So a lot of goals expected, but backup goaltending on both sides. James Reimer versus Johansson for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, Johansson does not have pretty numbers. He's got a 3.03 goals against average and a 901 save percentage. We have a strong power play here, though, for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We know this team can score and score at will. 26.1% conversion rate on that power play for fifth best in the league. And the kill here, not great for the Buffalo Sabres at 76.6%. Both of these teams off a couple of losses. We did see the Sabres in a shootout loss versus the Panthers last night, 3-2. And we're seeing the Tampa Bay Lightning off a loss in overtime to the Red Wings, who are looking to play spoiler with Tampa at home in that one, 4-3 loss. Last two games have gone to overtime here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so they picked up overtime points in both of them. They're versus the Panthers on Tuesday and at the Rangers on Thursday. So not really an easy finish with Florida on deck. Looking at where these two are sitting in the Atlantic, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers both have 89 points. The one advantage of the Tampa Bay Lightning is they have a game in hand. They've only played 79. We've seen 80 games out of the Florida Panthers. So really that next game versus Florida is going to be huge. The first period over 1.5 goals is too juiced between these two, but I do think it cashes. It's a minus 160 favorite. You can look at both teams to score. It's coming in at plus 140. I do think the Sabres are going to be able to put up the goals on Johansson, and that is my favorite bet of this game. The Sabres team total over 2.5 goals at minus 112. I think those goals are coming in, and they're coming in nicely. Now, we have seen the Sabres cover the puck line in their last 7 games. I'm going to look for the power play conversion again for the Tampa Bay Lightning today as they continue to work on that, especially against another team with a weak kill. And then I'm going to look at a couple of Sabres players for their goals today. So looking at that power play, Nikita Kucherov, I do think he scores goal number 35 today. That's coming in at plus 125. And then you could look at him for the power play point. I think Nikita Kucherov with 116 points on the season, 34 goals and 62 assists will come out nice and strong. Now, Braden Point for the power play point is my favorite because I will look at Nikita Kucherov for the goal. Braden Point for the power play point. It will be his 80th point of the season. That's coming in at plus 170 for that power play point. 41 goals, 38 assists, 79 points on the season. Braden Hagel, you could also look at as well. He's got 87 points, 35 goals, and 52 assists. I'll take Nikita Kucherov for the goal, Braden Point for the power play point. When we look at the Buffalo Sabres, Tage Thompson, I tell ya, he should have got goal number 45 in that last game. Wasn't able to do so. I got to keep riding on him. He's coming in at plus 160 for the anytime goal today. Again, he has 44 goals, 27 assists for 71 points. Alex Tuch still loading for goal number 35 as well. It's coming in at plus 260, so more value coming with Alex Tuch. 64 points, 34 goals, and 30 assists. Now, Rasmus Dahlin got a beautiful goal yesterday. If you didn't see it, go back and watch the replays. It was gorgeous. Now, 17 goals on the season, 49 assists, 66 points. So if you just want to look at Tage, Tuch, and Dahlin for their points parlayed together, I do think the Sabres are scoring at least 3 goals. So you can play around with those points tonight. I do think they're coming in. Let's move on. Yeah, you got to take the Ducks on the money line tonight, Michael Lee. And I do think we can play around with that. Oh, puck line laying 1.5 goals. It's coming, I believe, at plus 260. Laying 1.5 goals for the Ducks today, as Colorado not playing too many players, even Ross Colton sitting today, but we will look at a couple of players that will step up. Okay, we're going to look at the Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Washington Capitals. Yes, we did just see this game yesterday in Columbus. Columbus getting a 7-0 win over the Washington Capitals, and this game got scrappy, and it got scrappy fast as the Washington Capitals really didn't take too nicely to the fact that the Columbus Blue Jackets not only kept scoring, but they could not score anything. Now we know Ovi rested yesterday, and still so many question marks around who will be in the lineup today for the Washington Capitals, that it's really hard to make a play. Now, I am seeing props out there for Ovi, and I do think Ovi at home, give me the power play point for Ovechkin today if he hits the ice. But otherwise, this has to be all about Columbus. Columbus still fighting for that wild card spot. You saw with that win yesterday, the momentum they're going to bring into this game. Now, Washington, that quick revenge angle, but what good does it do for Washington to play hard, they can't risk injury. The Capitals are an older team. If they come out and someone takes an injury because they're trying to shut down the Columbus Blue Jackets today, then coaching all should be fired, because this team needs to just stay healthy to roll into the postseason. There is no good that's going to come for them of getting this win, in my opinion. So give me the Columbus Blue Jackets a plus 140 to get the win. This is a hungrier team. This is a team with momentum. This is a team that is desperate to get that win. Now, would the Capitals like to put the X in the coffin here of the Columbus Blue Jackets? Maybe, but really, why? The Capitals sitting here with 109 points, 79 games played. They've already taken the Metro, right? You're looking at them. They are leading the Eastern Conference as well with 109 points. They're going to take the Eastern Conference here. There is no point for them to come out and dominate. They're not going to catch the Winnipeg Jets. There's no reason to catch the Winnipeg Jets for the President's Trophy, and I wouldn't if I was the Washington Capitals want to do so, because I do believe in that jinx. I think it's a terrible thing to get that President's Trophy. So Winnipeg, why'd you have to do it? Couldn't you just be sitting here with 110 points and allow the Capitals to sneak out a win and then get it over to them? But I don't know, you guys. 114 points for the Jets, 109 points for the Caps. The Caps will take the Eastern Conference. The Jets will take the Western Conference. And that is where we're going to be sitting. Now, I know when we move on to, the second round, and those positions do matter, but I just think the Capitals here, they don't need this win. And I think you look at Columbus and how they've been playing, how much life this team has had. They've scored 254 goals on the year. That's the third most in franchise history for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So really turning a corner offensively for this team. The franchise high is 258. So they're just 4 shy of that franchise high. This team would love to get there. They won their last 3. They got that 7-0 win. They're at the Flyers on Tuesday and home versus the Islanders on Thursday. They're going to break this number. 4 goals shy. Could they break it today? Absolutely they can. Now, I know they haven't had that offensive production on the road as they have had at home, but I'm expecting, at 3-4 goals out of the Columbus Blue Jackets today. They, I think, win this 4-2. So I'm going to take Columbus on the money line at plus 140. I think you just got way too many question marks around the Capitals and who's going to play. So with the Montreal's overtime loss yesterday, it's kept the Columbus Blue Jackets alive. So 83 points, 79 games, still fighting for something. I know that they've lost the last 6 first periods on the road. So if you want to take them, if Capitals go up first, you'll get more plus money, but I think they squeak out that win. If Ovi plays, like I said, I'll take him for the power play point at plus 200. I'll take Bon Jenner for point number 20 tonight. He has 7 goals and 12 assists on the season for 19 points. I would look at Monahan for goal number 20. That's coming in at plus 270. 19 goals, 34 assists, 53 points. Adam Fantilli for the goal tonight, coming in at plus 320 as well. 27 goals, 23 assists, and 50 points on the season. So Bon Jenner, Monahan, and Adam Fantilli for the Columbus Blue Jackets for their points combos together, as well as the goal for Monahan and Fantilli. And then look at Ovi for the power play point. Plus 350. Okay, you got to get Fantilli and Kent Johnson point prop. They cashed 2 yesterday. Nice work, Hall. You got them for plus 350 for a point each, plus 3,000 for 2 plus points. Heck yeah, you definitely have to sprinkle on that. Love where you're going with that. Look for a big day out of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Remember, they are playing for Johnny Gaudreau in those locker rooms. I tell you, they know exactly who they're playing for to make the playoffs in this season. So we'll see if they can get it done, but they've got winnable games ahead of them, the Flyers and the Islanders, right? So the Flyers will be hard on the road. The Islanders at home, they should be able to take care of business. Montreal, they'll need Montreal to lose. They need to win all of these games. The Edmonton Oilers taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, so we're going to fade Edmonton the first period. First thing, Stuart Skinner back from injury. He's been out of this lineup for a while, and I do think the Winnipeg Jets, even though they played a game on the road, they have to travel back home. Edmonton has the rest advantage, not playing since Friday. I think the Winnipeg Jets come out at home so strong to start. Now, the problem here is you look at the odds. It's minus 104 for the Edmonton Oilers, minus 115 for the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg will clinch the President's Trophy with the win today. And I do think the Winnipeg Jets clinch it today. We got a minus, or it's 5.5 for that total, minus 130 to the over 5.5. So many question marks on who's going to hit the ice for the Edmonton Oilers. I know Edmonton looking to finish off the season strong, especially with how they're sitting right now in the Pacific, third in the Pacific with 97 points in 79 games. But you've got Ekholm out, undisclosed. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins out, illness. Leon Draisaitl still listed as day-to-day. If Leon gets into the lineup today, take him for 2+ points. I do think if Leon comes in, he gets 2 points on the board. Zach Hyman, day-to-day, undisclosed. Frederic, day-to-day, undisclosed. Wallman out, undisclosed. So there's so many playmakers out of this lineup. I just don't trust Edmonton to roll in to Winnipeg and be able to continuously light the lamp enough against the power play here of the Winnipeg Jets, who have the best power play in the league, 29.2%. The kill, not great for Edmonton at 78.4%. But it's kind of like, how hard will both of these teams play? We've seen the Winnipeg Jets win their last 3. This is second night of back-to-back. They got the shootout win versus the Chicago Blackhawks yesterday. They came out slow in that game. I was unimpressed with what I saw in that first period. You guys know we lost money as the Winnipeg Jets, over 1.5 goals in the first period. That came not even close to freaking cashing. It was a plus 92 bet that I thought would be easily handed to us. So I was unimpressed with the start. Now they had to travel back home. 114 points in 80 games. They've got the Ducks left on Wednesday. So they need a win in one of these games. Could they lose this one? They could to Edmonton, but look for them to come out strong in the first period. I do think the Jets can, because of Stuart Skinner back. If this was Calvin Pickard, I might play the Edmonton Oilers, but with Skinner coming back off of that long of time off with that head injury, I think the Jets will hit him right out of the gate. So Jets first period money line is minus 126. Jets, I do believe, win this 4-2, 4-3. So looking at the Jets team total, I think they get 4 goals no matter what. I'll take the Jets over 3.5 goals at plus 136. I just don't think Skinner is going to be able to live up in this first game to what he was doing before he went out of the lineup. I do think you can look at the power play points here for the Winnipeg Jets. Kyle Connor leading this team with 41 goals, 55 assists for 96 points. I do think Kyle Connor, 2 games left, 4 points away from 100. I think we see Kyle Connor hit 100 points before the season ends. So I'm going to take Kyle Connor for 2+ points tonight. I'll also look at him. Actually, I won't look at him for the goal. I will look at Mark Scheifele for the power play point, though I think he can convert on the power play. So this should be a good game for Kyle Connor. Let's look for him to roll strong, get those 2+ points for us. Couple games left to go over, you guys. And then remember, I am on the grid from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. So make sure you come over and join myself and Scott Wetzel as we go over everything happening in the NBA. Last day of the regular season in the NBA, the Diamonds, as well as the Ice, and of course, the Masters. Let me know who you're rooting for in the Masters. It would be great to see McIlroy get it done. Corey Connors as well, the Canadian kid. I do have a long shot on Shane Lowry at plus 1,200. I haven't checked the board this morning to see where they're at, but it should be a great day. So the San Jose Sharks versus my Calgary Flames. And yes, was I avoiding talking this game? Absolutely. I am so stressed about my Calgary Flames, and I don't want to put my bias into this. And I was talking to Scott Wetzel yesterday, and I said, look, if Calgary doesn't make it and the Blues make it into the postseason instead, it'll be easier for my handicapping, because in that last game with Calgary versus Minnesota Wild, everything in me told me that the Calgary Flames were going to get the win. Was I able to take the Calgary Flames straight up on the money line and the puck line, like everything in me was telling me? No, I wasn't, because I worried about that bias. And so I didn't give it out. I had had the Wild in the first period, Calgary in the second, cash. So it kind of offset each other there, but because Calgary won the first as well. But I look at it as Calgary going into the postseason, going to hurt my wallet probably, because I get nervous to bet on my team in certain situations. Looking at them today versus the Sharks, this is a must win. They cannot allow this game to not pick up that win versus the San Jose Sharks, but the Sharks are going to come out strong. I do expect Calgary to be able to score on Georgiev and the lack of defense here that we've seen out of the San Jose Sharks. So right away, the Calgary Flames team total. Their team total coming in at 3.5, coming in at minus 128. 4 goals out of the Calgary Flames. And yes, I'm playing a lot of team totals today, which I don't always love doing. But I do think we will see Jonathan Huberdeau, Nazem Kadri, Coronado. You're going to see these players step up, Mackenzie Weegar, and be able to get it done today. Dustin Wolf expected in goal. So Calgary over 3.5 goals, win or lose. I think they get 4 goals on the board. I think this one starts off hot and the Sharks don't make it easy for the Calgary Flames. If the Sharks go up first, I will be coming back in on Calgary on that money line. Is that biased? Yeah, that's probably biased. As a Flames fan, I want to have my money there on them to be able to pull this off today. I think they have every ability to against this defense, but we know Tyler Toffoli is going to come out strong. The San Jose Sharks are going to try to light that lamp. Celebrini, Toffoli, Will Smith, you're going to have these young playmakers trying to score, and then Toffoli against his former team coming out strong. So we know the Sharks have been on that losing streak. They've lost the last 8. They lost that last game to the Oilers, but I think they make it interesting. So the over 1.5 goals in the first period at minus 130. Both teams to score in the first period at plus 172. Nazem Kadri, Huberdeau parlayed for their points. Look at Kadri for 2+ points. I think he is the playmaker that gets it done tonight for the Calgary Flames. So I feel sick in my stomach. This game will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be off the grid, thankfully, because if I'm yelling at my TV, can't do it on the grid. So Smith and Celebrini, yeah, Will Smith and Celebrini are going to come out so strong. Remember, Celebrini and Dustin Wolf both wanting that Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. I do think Celebrini is still the odds-on favorite, but Wolf so deserving with what we've seen out of him as well. So look for both of those players to come out nice and strong. This is going to be an absolute battle. I can't even talk about it anymore. It makes me feel sick, you guys. Look for Calgary to get 4 goals. Okay, Colorado versus the Anaheim Ducks. Let's just play the Ducks. Colorado's got so many players out now. Martin Necas is in the lineup. Charlie Coyle is in the lineup. Valerie Nichushkin in the lineup. So we do have players in the lineup, but is it going to be enough versus the Ducks, who this is their last home game? Yeah, let's just look at these players for. So Valerie Nichushkin, Martin Necas, they're listed on FanDuel. Brock Nelson listed on FanDuel. Terry Lankin listed on FanDuel. So we do have playmakers still in the lineup here for the Avs, but I tell ya, you look at this Ducks team, you look at how Cutter has been playing, and this kid has just been flying out there on the ice. I want to play the Ducks. I want to play the Ducks alt puck line. This is their last home game. This team has been eliminated. They're coming off a loss to the Kings on Thursday, 6-1. Look for that bounce back. They're at the Wild on Tuesday, at the Jets on Wednesday. So look for them to come out strong in this game. Ducks on the money line, plus 114. Ducks alt puck line, minus 1.5 at plus 160. Which bet would I rather have? I'd rather have the alt puck line, because if they're winning this, they are winning it by 2 goals. This isn't a 1-goal win for the Anaheim Ducks. It's the Avs don't show up, and the Avs don't come out to get the win. So they're locked in that 3rd spot. They will face the Dallas Stars. This team cannot get sloppy out there. That's for sure, but I just don't think we get enough out of them. So if you don't want to take the Ducks on that alt puck line, laying 1.5 at plus 260, you want to play some player props. Look at Cutter. He scored 5 goals in the last 3 games. So Cutter for the Ducks. Troy Terry hasn't registered a point in the last 3. Look for Troy Terry to come out. 2+ points for Troy Terry will put him at 55 points on the season, with the Wild and the Jets ahead of them, and the Jets will be resting players in that last game. The Wild still fighting for that wild card spot. It will be hard for him to get points on the board. So look at Troy Terry for 2+ points. Leo Carlsson has not lit the lamp in the last 6 games. But he does have 4 assists in the last 4. So Leo Carlsson for point number 45 tonight, I do think is loading, and McTavish for point number 45, I think is loading as well. So Troy Terry, 2+ points, Cutter for a goal, and McTavish and Leo Carlsson for a point parlay together will get you plus money. On the other side, if you want to look at players for Colorado, Martin Necas and Charlie Coyle, parlay for a point. It's almost 2-1 to your money. Charlie Coyle himself for a point is minus 111. You guys know I love those minus 111 numbers when we're getting them. Yeah, Kelly, it's Ducks and Reg. Ducks on the alt puck line, Ducks on the money line. or it's nothing, right? You can't trust the Avs in this one. So Kelly, go Calgary, 2 goals each in a regulation Pens game. Rust anytime goal swapped with points by Geeky. I love where you're going with that one, Kelly. I think you're on to a winner. Not a flight in the spot no more. No fight in a spot. Yeah, there's no fight left in the Avs at all. So let's do the recap, you guys. Again, join me on the grid for the rest of the day. I will be guesting with the boys, Joe Ranieri, Matt Perrault at 2:15 Eastern. I'm trying to convert times in my head. I don't know why it's not working today. And then 3 to 7, join me on the grid with Scott Wetzel. We will be live for the full 4 hours talking everything happening out there. I've got some great plays in the NBA on the diamonds for you guys. Stay tuned for my Cup of Joe as long as I have time to get it out today. I'm sure I'll have time to get out my Cup of Joe. Recap time. We're at the 50-minute mark, you guys. Let's get going with this. The Philadelphia Flyers versus the Ottawa Senators. This one is kicking off right away, so get your bets in now. I do think the Ottawa Senators in the first period come out nice and strong. I'll lay the half a goal in the first period with the Ottawa Senators at plus 124, and I'll also lay the goal and a half on that puck line at plus 108 for the full game. Look for the conversion on the power play out of the Ottawa Senators, but I do think Tim Struzal, Batherson, and Sanderson put those points up on the board. Konecny and Mishkov still should be able to come out strong for the Flyers. The New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils. Give me the Devils team total over 3.5 goals at plus 104 is my best bet of this game. Look for the Devils to convert on the power play. Jasper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, and Luke Hughes. I took them all for a power play point. You can do any combination of those guys for the power play point. They're coming in at plus 200 to plus 380 on the power play point, so we just need to hit 2 of those. I think we can hit 3 of the 4. For the Islanders, I will look at Noah Dobson for point number 40 tonight at plus 126. I do think the Islanders team total under 2.5 is in play, as I think the Devils win this 4-2, 4-1 style game. Looking at the Boston Bruins versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, give me both teams to score in the first period at plus 150. 150. Give me Sidney Crosby for 2+ points at plus 158. His goal tonight coming in at plus 140. Sidney Crosby has 89 points on the season. I think he's trying to reach as high as he can in this point market before he finishes off. Looking at his goals as of late, scored in the last 2 games, 3 of the last 4 and 5 of the last 7. So that goal at plus 140. Pasternak to get his points on the board. Morgan Geeky for Boston to put his points on the board. This game, I do think cruises over the total of 5.5. I'm going to look at Fabian Lysell for the goal here for the Boston Bruins. This will be his first NHL goal of his career. The young prospect coming out nice and fast on the ice. His goal at plus 480. I think you play it today. If it doesn't hit, you play it in the next game for him as well to finish up the season. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. I got to take Toronto, you guys, at plus 180. I think we're getting a steal. I got them at plus 162. I know the Carolina Hurricanes are strong on their home ice and want to roll into the playoffs strong, but you're looking at a Toronto team looking to finalize up the Atlantic, clinch that Atlantic spot. The Canes team total, if you don't want to bet Toronto on the money line, the Canes team total under 3.5. I think either way, this cashes. They either win this 3-2 or Toronto wins this 3-2. Either way, the Carolina Hurricanes stay under 3.5 goals. So the under 3.5 goals at minus 128. Remember, Canes are resting players. We're seeing Taylor Hall listed as rested too. So really odd that we're seeing money come in on the Carolina Hurricanes. But I guess Colorado did step up for the majority of that game yesterday. The Buffalo Sabres and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do think the first period over 1.5 goals will cash first between Buffalo and Tampa. The problem is here it's too juiced at minus 160. Give me both teams to score at plus 140. Give me the Sabres team total in this game over 2.5 goals at minus 112. I do think Tampa ends up getting the win. They sitting tied right now in the Atlantic with the Florida Panthers. They want to get the win here. They've got a game in hand as well over Florida. Look at the power play conversion for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We know how strong this offense has been. Nikita Kucherov I'll take for goal number 35. Braden Point I'll take for the power play point. That will put him at 80 points on the season. That power play point coming in at plus 170. Nikita Kucherov for the goal at plus 125. When we look at the Sabres, I'm going to roll with Tage Thompson again for goal number 45. That's coming in at plus 160. And Alex Tuch for goal number 35 at plus 260. Rasmus Dahlin got us a goal yesterday. I won't play on him again today. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Washington Capitals. Give me Columbus to just run it frickin' back versus the Washington Capitals. So many uncertainties who's going to play it for the Washington Capitals. And I tell you, if they come out trying to make a revenge statement win here versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, then coaching should be fired from the Capitals. This team is sitting nice and strongly first in the Metro with 109 points. They will be taking the Eastern Conference. So don't get your players injured out there. Look for the Columbus Blue Jackets to get the win. If the Washington Capitals go up first, I'll be coming back in with more money on the Columbus Blue Jackets on the money line to make that comeback. Now, if Ovi hits the ice tonight, he is listed, but he's listed on other sites day to day. So we're not sure on Ovi. We're not sure who's going to play for the Caps. Ovi at the power play point, I would look at it plus 200. On the other side, Bonjanner for point number 20 tonight, Monahan for goal number 20 tonight, and Adam Fantilli for a goal at plus 320. Monahan, you're going to get his goal at plus 270. So I would look at that. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Winnipeg Jets. Give me the Jets to come out and hit Stuart Skinner, who's back from injury, hard and fast. Give me the Jets on the money line in the first period at minus 126. Give me the Jets to win this 4-2 style game. I'll take the Jets team total over 3.5 goals. We're getting that at plus 136. Look for Kyle Connor to come out nice and strong. 2+ points for Kyle Connor puts us at 98 points. I think he hits 100 in the regular season, so look for him to be trying to reach that point. Mark Scheifele for the power play point for the Winnipeg Jets. I have no clue who's playing for Edmonton. If Leon Draisaitl does come out, he's listed day to day. Look at him for 2+ points. I do think Leon Draisaitl will light the lamp and get an assist if he is on the ice. The San Jose Sharks versus the Calgary Flames. Trying to take my prejudice out of this as I want Calgary to get the win. I think win or lose, Calgary will get 4 goals. So give me Calgary's team total over 3.5 goals at minus 128. Give me this to be a fast start between these two teams as the Sharks really push Calgary. Over 1.5 goals at minus 130. Both teams to score at plus 172. Do I want to see it? No, but I do think both of these teams rack up a goal in the first, and Calgary tries their best to lock down. But I do think you got Tyler Toffoli, you got Will Smith, and you got Celebrini. I think they really push Calgary in this matchup. So I think Calgary wins this 4-2 or 5-3. That is where I'm going with that game. Give me Nazem Kadri for 2+ points. Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau for a point parlay together as well. The Colorado Avalanche and the Anaheim Ducks. Colorado, they've got nothing to play for. They have to stay healthy to face the Stars and Mikko Rantanen, their ex-teammate, in the first round of the playoffs. So that's going to be crazy. We know Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon definitely out of this lineup. Cale Makar didn't even travel for the trip. We're now seeing Roth Colden. So players that played yesterday now not playing today. Natchez and Coyle would be the 2 players I'd look at to step up and show their coaching that they can play without these teammates. So looking at Natchez for the point, Charlie Coyle for the point. Charlie Coyle for his point alone is minus 111. I do like that, but you could look at Natchez and Coyle parlayed together. When we look at the Ducks, it's the Ducks or nothing, you guys. I'll take the alt puck line laying 1.5 at plus 260. If you want to take the money line, you're still getting plus money at plus 114. I just think if the Ducks win this, they win it by a couple. Give me Cutter here for the goal. He scored a goal he scored 5 goals, in the last 3 games. Cutter has been amazing for the Ducks. I can't believe how strong he's been playing. Now, Troy Terry hasn't registered a point in the last 3 games. I'm going to look for Troy Terry to get 2 points on the board tonight. 53 points on the season. 2 points will put him at 55. McTavish and Leo Carlson, I do think, come out strong. I'd parlay them for the points as well. Leo Carlson has not lit the lamp in 4 of the last 6 games, but he has had an assist in the last 4. So Carlson, Troy Terry, and Cutter are my main players. McTavish coming out as the next. But you guys, that is everything for today. Yeah, those favorite players for 2+ points for sure. Let's look at Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames for the 2+ points. Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks for the 2+ points. Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets for the 2+ points. And then I'm probably going to take for the 2+ points. let's just stay with those, you guys, because I do think there's possibility. One I was flirting with was a Nikita Kucherov for the 2+ points. I do think he can get it. I'm just a little, let's take Nikita Kucherov for the 2+ points as well. So that is where I'm going to go. Again, Troy Terry of the Ducks, Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames. We're going to do Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets, and then Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning, all of those players for 2+ points. And yes, Kelly, if Leon Draisaitl plays, I'm shaking my head. You got to take him for 2+ points. And Kelly, goal number 400 for his career. He's going to come out and get that if Leon Draisaitl, because the thing is, you look at Leon Draisaitl, he hasn't been playing. These players, if they come into that lineup, they're going to want to get that game under their belt before they roll into the playoffs. If Leon Draisaitl plays today, he doesn't play the next game. So look for him for the 2+ points. Look for him for goal number 400. Kelly, thank you so much for throwing that out there. And yeah, look at those young guys for Boston to come out nice and strong. I absolutely love the look here on Fabian Lysell for his goal tonight. It's plus 480. If he doesn't get it in this one, look at him in the next game for Boston as they face the Devils at home. His speed out there is fantastic. He is going to be a name that we all remember next season. But you guys, I appreciate you all so much. Mo, thank you for being here. Kelly, thank you for being here. The list of you guys that are here each and every day, enjoy your Sunday. I appreciate you guys all so very much. But I'll be on the grid in an hour and 10 minutes here with the guys. And then I'll be on live from 3 to 7. So make sure you join me, you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the ice. We have a pretty decent slate tomorrow on the ice. We've got 6 games. So I'll see you then, you guys. All the best in all of your bets. Cheers.